Kenya's President William Ruto sat with Al Jazeera for an interview that I think was a little bit soft. And in a moment of extraordinary self-assessment, the president gave his administration a score of 8 out of 10. So in this video, we are going to be looking at some of the claims the president made, do a reality check, and the serious follow-up questions that were missing in this interview. The first claim that the president made is that the Kenyan economy is fixed, citing a strong GDP ranking and a successful job creation that has seen almost 430,000 young Kenyans placed in jobs abroad.
On a scale of 1 to 10, I have done 8. And I've done 8, let me just give you a rundown of 3 or 4 or 5 issues. Number 1, I have fixed the economy. Kenya is now listed as the 6th largest economy in Africa because of the steps I have taken. And our stock exchange was voted the best stock exchange in Africa. So we have fixed the economy.
Here's the reality check. Data from Kenya National Bureau of Statistics, KNBS, shows that youth unemployment between the ages of 15 to 34 is significantly higher than the general rate. Youth not in education, employment or training, NEET, stands around 20%. The Federation of Kenya Employers, FKE, has cited a youth unemployment rate as high as 67% for the 15 to 34 age group, showing that the economy fix that the president has cited has not trickled down. Also, the president saying that his solution to youth unemployment is to ask its citizens to leave the country has been seen by critics as definitive proof of economic failure. It's also worth mentioning that Ruto's government is being protested by the very same demographic he promised to lift during the campaigns. The Gen Z youth are frustrated by the unemployment crisis, the crippling cost of living, and taxes they see as disproportionately crushing the poor. The second claim that Ruto made is that the police are independent from the executive, and he also denied extrajudicial killings or enforced disappearances. Watch.
The police carried out their responsibilities independently.
Well, you say independent, you're telling the police to shoot protesters in the legs. That sounds like you're ordering the police.
No, there is nowhere in the law that allows me to order the police. I've told people who claim that so-and-so has disappeared to step forward and tell the country who are these, when were they abducted, and many of the stories that you hear are people who when you tell them to come out, they don't. They just want to make general statements. There are no incidences of Kenyans that are executed. I committed to the country that I would stop it, and I did.
Here's the reality check. There has been evidence of state-linked abductions. In fact, human rights groups have documented numerous cases of abductions, some involving ununiformed security personnel in unmarked vehicles, particularly targeting protest leaders, activists, lawyers, and doctors. The Missing Voices Coalition recorded 104 incidents of extrajudicial killings and a rise in enforced disappearances in a recent reporting, with most victims being young men. On systemic corruption that has plagued Kenya for decades, Ruto said he's addressing it by simply hiring more judges. Watch.
We have deployed additional resources to the Director of Public Prosecution. We have hired more judges. I think I've hired the most judges than any president in 3 years.
Here's the reality check. Hiring more judges is just the final stage of this process. And for those that are not familiar with Kenya's legal system, I'll break it down for you. The anti-corruption process starts with the investigative stage, which involves the DCI, that's the Directorate of Criminal Investigations, and the EACC, that's the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission. They're the ones that require adequate funding, staff protections, and clear mandates to pursue anyone regardless of rank. If its reports are consistently ignored by the executive or its leaders are intimidated, its work simply becomes symbolic. The second stage is the prosecution stage, which involves the ODPP, that's the Office of the Director of Public Prosecutions. They're the ones that decide whether the evidence gathered by DCI and EACC is strong enough to secure a conviction and then present the case to the courts. The final stage is the adjudication stage, which now involves the courts. This is the only stage addressed by the president's claim of hiring more judges, and the judge's role is to hear the case, ensure due process, and to deliver a verdict. But here's the limitation. If the DCI and EACC provide weak, incomplete, or sabotaged evidence, or if the ODPP provides a poor charge sheet, the courts cannot manufacture a conviction. Even the best judges will acquit if the foundation of the case is flawed. By simply hiring more judges, it does not solve the upstream problem of weak investigations. The third claim made by Ruto is that Kenya is not involved in shipping arms to RSF, that's the Rapid Support Forces, the paramilitary group in the war in Sudan. Watch.
But there are also allegations that you're involved in getting arms to the RSF. The Sudanese army says you're involved with the UAE and you're shipping arms to them.
That is absolutely false.
And this is just one of the parts where the president could have been pressed to present counter evidence or consent to an independent probe to lay these allegations to rest, given the gravity of the war in Sudan. As President Ruto gives himself a score of 8 out of 10 in his performance, the many Kenyans that I spoke to for this story told me his real-world score is very close to a 0.